fiction, the actual behind-the-scenes story of one of America's most interesting places. From Los Angeles, California, this is the story of your fire department, ready at any moment of the day or night to respond to your aid when fire or disaster strikes. You've just seen a life gun being fired, an important phase in the training of every fireman. But wait a minute, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start at the beginning. How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Bob Moon, and I want you to meet the man in charge of rookie training at the Los Angeles Fire Department's drill tower, Captain Howard. Hiya, Captain.
How do you do, Bob?
Captain, what does it take to become a fireman?
Well, first of all, Bob, a man must live in the city of Los Angeles. He must be between the ages of 21 and 31. He must pass a very rigid physical requirement, and he must also have a high school education.
Well, now, let's say that he's met all those requirements, Captain. What is the very first phase of his training in the fire department?
Well, the first day of our training here at the drill tower is used for classroom work. And up in the classroom, we teach them the chemistry of fire and the proper use of extinguishers, extinguishing agents, and the use of various fittings and tools that we use on the job.
Now, today we're going to see all of these tools and all of the equipment put to actual use by the rookies. Is that correct?
That's right, Bob.
Are we set to go now?
We're ready.
Fine, here we go. We're looking at an array of fittings and nozzles with which I imagine every rookie must become completely familiar. Am I right, Captain?
Well, that's right, Bob. Every new fireman must become familiar with all of the fittings that you see here on this table. But we have many pieces of specialized fire apparatus with which have very many more fittings with which they have to become familiar with as they go into the houses.
I see. You know, I think it would be interesting to see some of the old and new fittings in comparison, don't you?
Well, I'd be very happy to show them to you, Bob. 3 of the older type solid stream nozzles. And these are now being replaced with the newer type solid stream nozzles and fog nozzles.
The newer type solid stream nozzles have an improved lever action. They also have a rubber tip guard, which makes it much easier for the men to hold the nozzle when they're working their lines.
Captain, what's the purpose of this nozzle?
Well, Bob, this nozzle is designed to throw both a solid stream and a spray stream, and it's used very extensively around liquid petroleum fires. Here is a distributing nozzle, which we lower through the floors into a basement. We use this nozzle when it's impossible for men to get into a basement due to the intensive heat.
Captain, now that we've seen some of the nozzles that the firemen use, I suppose there's a right way and a wrong way of putting a nozzle onto a hose.
Yes, there is, Bob, and I was just going to demonstrate the right way to do it to the class.
Good.
But first, the coupling is put on the knee for better stability. Then the nozzle is attached in this manner. As soon as it's attached, we shut the nozzle off. Then pivot it onto your shoulder, and you're ready to lead into the fire.
Well, Captain Howard, I know that a lot of time is spent by the rookies in learning the use of all the fittings and the nozzles, but what happens when they have to actually lay a line at a fire?
Well, Bob, suppose we get the apparatus out and we'll show you just what takes place from start to finish.
Fine.
The first operation in laying a hose line to a fire is what we call taking a hydrant. You'll notice as the apparatus comes around, a man steps off the back with the hose, and he'll snub it around the hydrant. He holds that hose around the hydrant, so in case the couplings hang up in the bed, it will not jerk it out of his hand.
As soon as the apparatus proceeds down the street far enough, the line is connected to the hydrant. But the water is not turned on until the nozzle is in position at the fire. When the apparatus stops at the fire, we remove the necessary amount of hose in folds. We do this so the hose doesn't get tangled when we're taking it on into the fire. When the proper amount of hose is removed, one man breaks it at the nearest coupling to the apparatus.
As soon as the nozzle is attached, the men space themselves properly on the hose line and take the line into the fire. In this case, we'll assume that the fire is on the upper floor of a building.
Well, Captain Howard, we've seen some very interesting examples of the early phases of a rookie fireman's training. All of us know, of course, that one of a fireman's most important jobs is rescue work. Do you suppose perhaps we could see some examples of firemen in actual rescue operations?
We sure can, Bob. Suppose we go over and look at a simulated rescue of a man being brought out of a smoke-filled basement.
All right.
Here we see two firemen equipped with self-contained breathing apparatus going in to rescue a person overcome by smoke. These men always work in pairs, so in case one gets in trouble, the other can help him.
Now, here we see the man being brought out of the smoke-filled basement. Well, immediately upon bringing them out of the basement, we go to work on them with what we call a resuscitator. This machine gives life-giving oxygen to the patient.
Well, now, Captain Howard, could we see another phase of the training here at the drill tower?
Sure, Bob. Let's go over and watch the men jump into the life net. That's always exciting.
You bet it is. Let's go, Captain.
This, of course, is the life net. Captain Howard, I wish you'd tell us a little bit about the life net. For instance, the target in the center, I imagine, is where they aim. Is that correct?
That's correct, Bob. That's where they aim. Of course, in our training over here, we are more interested in teaching the men how to hold the net properly and catch untrained persons in jumping than we are in teaching them how to jump, although our training very definitely they must know how to jump and jump properly. A life net, as you know, Bob, is only used as a last resort when all other means of rescue fail. But it's a very efficient machine, and we're going to demonstrate to you this afternoon how to hold it properly and how to jump properly.
Right now, we can find out how the proper method of holding it. Is that correct, Captain?
Correct, Bob. That's what we'll do first.
Fine.
In actual operations, Bob, the net is never opened until it is in position under the window from which the person is going to jump. If we should leave the net open in any other position and the men were not ready and people would jump out, it might be a little embarrassing. You will notice that the men all hold the net chin high with their left foot forward. That's done for better maneuverability. Some people will jump close to the building, some may jump sideways or far out. This allows the men to maneuver back and forth in any way they have to properly catch the person.
And now, Captain, can we see the net in actual use?
We sure can, Bob. We'll start the men jumping right now.
All right.
To properly jump in a life net, you should light on the small of your back with your arms and legs up.
And here he comes now.
Let's watch the jumper from above as he aims for that target. There he goes. Captain, a while ago you told me that one of the first things a rookie fireman learns how to do is climb a ladder properly. Now, what do you mean by climbing a ladder properly?
Well, Bob, I'd like to show you first how to climb a ladder improperly. You'll notice as this man climbs, he's reaching his hands high above. His arms are pulling him up. He'll be real tired when he gets to the fire floor.
That's the wrong way.
That's
Captain.
the wrong way. Now, in climbing properly, the arms are straight in front of the body and those big leg muscles are doing the work. And he'll be able to do a lot of work when he gets to the fire floor.
Quite a difference, isn't there?
There is a big difference, Bob.
At the beginning of our picture, you saw a life gun being fired. This life gun shoots a cord up over a building to which a lifeline is attached. Captain Howard, would you tell us when the lifeline is used?
Surely, Bob. The lifeline is used more in an emergency nature. Let's assume that a fireman has become trapped on the upper floor of a building and there are no other means of getting him down. We'll now show you how we use the lifeline to get our men out of these conditions.
In attaching a life belt to a lifeline, you put the rope in the snap of the hook and take one complete wrap around the hook. Now the rope has a friction surface so the man can govern his speed in going down the side of a building.
Here's an actual demonstration of a man sliding the lifeline. Let's take a look at the fireman from another angle as he comes down the lifeline.
Here's another important phase of training, Bob, the use and operation of our portable fire extinguishers. The first extinguisher there is what we call a metropolitan pump tank. It contains water and is used mostly on small fires. The next extinguisher you see is a carbon dioxide extinguisher. Many people refer to that as dry ice. We use that extinguisher on electrical fires and on small oil fires. The other extinguisher on the ground is what we call a knapsack or ranger type extinguisher. It's carried on the back and used quite extensively on grass and small brush fires. Now, Bob, we'll show you how they operate. As you remember, Bob, this is the ranger type tank. It's carried on the back. This tank is used quite a bit up in the mountain area where we have small brush fires or grass fires. A man can climb a hill with this on his back and have both hands free. This other type is used mostly around residences for small fires. It can be operated either with a solid stream or by putting your finger over the nozzle, you get a fine spray. You'll notice, Bob, as he puts this extinguisher in operation, he grabs it on the rubber insulator. That's to protect his hands from static electricity. The gas from this extinguisher is heavier than air and it tends to smother the fire.
Well, Bob, if you really want to see a ladder, let me show you the biggest hand-operated ladder in use on the fire department today. Well, Bob, this is what we call a banger ladder. You'll notice it takes 6 men working together to properly raise this ladder. It's very important that they spot the ladder the proper distance out from the building and directly under the window to be laddered. This ladder, when it's fully extended, is 50 feet high. That will reach the roofs of most 3-story buildings, and it will reach into the windows of 4-story buildings.
Takes close coordination between the 6 men, doesn't it,
It takes very close coordination, and the men have to work together at all times. As that ladder is quite heavy, it weighs close to 400 pounds.
Is that right?
This ladder is extended, Bob, by 2 men pulling on the halyard rope. Now, when the ladder gets to the proper height to lower it into the window, they lock the ladder in position, and then it's lowered in.
That's a real man-sized ladder, isn't it, Captain?
That is a big one. Now, we've seen this ladder. Let's go over now and look at a ladder that's entirely different.
Good.
Bob, these ladders are what we call pompier or scaling ladders. We use them primarily here at the drill tower to develop men's confidence when they're working above ground. Working on this type of ladder at this height, this is where we separate the men from the boys.
Captain, this has certainly been a spectacular demonstration of ladder work. Captain Howard, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for showing us some of the intensive phases through which a rookie must go to become a highly qualified fireman.
Oh, Bob, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks again. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take you to one of the largest fire stations in the city of Los Angeles. And that's the stirring sound that puts your fireman into action. You've seen the intensive training through which a fireman must go, and now we're in the station house where that training is put into actual action. And I want you to meet Captain Welch of Truck 27. Captain, nice to be here.
I'll be glad to help you, Bob.
You'll show us all through the routine, will you,
Be
Captain?
happy.
Fine. The alarm comes in from the main dispatch office to the local station house. And Captain Welch, would you tell us the next step, please?
Yes, Bob. The alarm comes in over the recording tape. Holes are punched in the tape. We check the numbers. We find that the number's 3442, as indicated on the tape. We then go to our file, pick out our running card. We find it's Hollywood and Vine. Now this 3442 box, Hollywood and Vine, 3 engine companies, 2 truck companies, Salvage 27, and Battalion 5 respond.
How does the dispatch office captain know that you've responded to the alarm?
Usually, Bob, after the second round comes in, we are ready to roll. The captain then pushes the answer back button, which indicates that we have responded. By the way, Bob, right behind you is our teletype machine.
The sight of the hook and ladder roaring down the street has stirred excitement in the hearts of all of us, but few of us have had an opportunity to see the hook and ladder up closely. Let's do that right now, Captain Welch.
Yes, Bob.
I'd like to ask you a question or two about this piece of equipment. First of all, how long is it?
53 feet overall length.
And there are many, many feet of ladder on this piece of equipment. How many feet would you say, Captain?
393 feet, Bob.
One more question. What, according to your opinion, is the most spectacular part of the hook and ladder?
Unquestionably, the Tillerman.
Can we see a little closer, Captain?
Yes, we may, Bob. Bob, I'd like to introduce our experienced Tillerman, Auto Fireman Padgham.
How do you do? I'm very happy to know you.
you, Bob. Padgham, get up on the seat there and demonstrate to us how the Tillerman operates.
All right, sir, I will.
The duties of a Tillerman on the hook and ladder are most important. We're going to let Captain Welch talk to the Tillerman and find out exactly what they are. Would you take the microphone, Captain?
Yes, Bob. Padgham, as a Tillerman, what are your duties?
Well, Captain, the main duty of the Tillerman is to get the rear end of the apparatus safely around the corner when following the front end. And that is done with a steering wheel, which is the same as a steering wheel that gets the front end safely around.
I know people are interested in knowing how we raise the ladder with the bucket here.
Well, let's give them a demonstration, Captain.
Yes, let's do that.
Now we're going to show you the answer to the question, just how does the ladder get up once the bucket is removed, right, Captain?
Yes, Bob. The auto fireman releases the bucket, removes the steering column, and the aerial ladder is now ready to be raised.
And the next step, of course, is to find out exactly how the aerial ladder is raised.
We'd be happy to show you that, Bob. Those 3 levers, Bob, control the aerial ladder hydraulically. One lever raises the main ladder, another lever swings the turntable, the third lever extends the flies.
How long is the ladder when it's extended to its full height, Captain?
85 feet, Bob.
Now, could we see some of the other equipment on the truck?
This is our portable light generator, Bob, we use at nighttime. This is our life net. Over here we have our breathing apparatus. We carry forcible entry tools and cleanup tools.
Well, we've had a very good look at the hook and ladder now, Captain. Could we see another truck, perhaps a pump truck?
Yes, right over here, Bob. Engineer Lang will be happy to explain this duplex pumper, Bob.
Fine, thank you, Captain. Hello, Engineer Lang.
Hello, Bob.
The captain said a duplex pumper. What does he mean by that?
Well, a duplex differs primarily from a conventional pumper in that it has 2 motors and 2 pumps. And it's capable of putting out 3,000 gallons at 120 pounds pressure.
3,000 gallons.
3,000.
Wouldn't you say that this is probably the largest pumper in the world?
Yes, I would.
Fine. I wish we could get in a little closer and take a look at some of these impressive controls.
Yes, Bob, we have quite a few instruments on this panel. We have the incoming pressure gauge from the hydrant or source supply, and the outgoing developed by the pump into the manifold wagon. The two outlets here are for the line supply in the manifold wagon. This lower pipe here, or inlet, is from the source of supply.
Well, as massive as the pump truck is, it still doesn't operate by itself, does it, Engineer Lang?
No, it doesn't, Bob. It operates in conjunction with the manifold or the hose wagon.
The hose
as
wagon?
Commonly known as, yes.
Fine, let's go see it now, may we?
Good.
The hose truck is a highly specialized piece of equipment, and why is that, Captain Welch?
This type of equipment, Bob, is used in high-value districts. The 3.5-inch hose is laid from the pumper to the fire. The hose is broken and connected onto these inlet manifolds.
How much hose is on the truck?
1,200 feet, Bob.
Now, I wish you would show us exactly how the hose gets from the truck to the fire. Will you do that, Captain?
Yes, over on the side, Bob.
All right.
Bob, this is Otto Fireman White, the driver of this apparatus.
Happy to know you, Mr. White. Would you please explain the apparatus to us, sir?
Yes, sir. We have 1,500 feet of 2.5-inch hose in these compartments, which we lay from this apparatus to the fire. The men pulls them in, which have a nozzle on the end of the line. When they quit pulling the line, I break the line, connect into any one of these 8 outlets on each side, a total of 16 outlets on this apparatus. And when they are ready for the water, I open this gate valve, and I have a gauge there showing the amount of pressure that they have.
Now, what if you need more power, more water, more pressure, sir?
More pressure, then we go to the large nozzle on top of the rig.
Fireman White, may we have some information on the turret nozzle?
Yes, sir. This turret nozzle is used on large fires where they want a quantity of water. We have an 1 3/4, 2, 2.5, and 3-inch tip, capable of putting out 3,000 gallons per minute.
Well, we've seen so much interesting equipment today. I'm sure there's plenty more to be seen, Captain Welch. What would you suggest next?
Another very important unit in the fire department, Bob, is the Salvage Company. I would like to have the driver of this apparatus explain the equipment to you. Out of Fireman Wilson.
Would you tell us about the types of equipment you have on the salvage truck?
Well, on the salvage truck, the most important, I think, is the salvage blankets. They're rubber blankets. They're used to cover furniture and other materials to protect it from water damage.
Now, you have many, many different types of cleanup tools that you use. For what purpose?
Well, the cleanup tools, we have the various tools, shovels, brooms, mops, and we also have chamois to wipe down the walls in the event they get splashed with water.
When you leave the place, you leave it as clean, if not cleaner, than you found it. Isn't that correct?
Yes, we always try to leave the place nice and clean and tidy, and we clean up all the debris.
That has a very important bearing on us as taxpayers, too. Would you tell us what it is?
Yes, that saving of the property cuts down on the loss and thereby reduces the insurance rates.
Sawdust is another important item that you use in your work. Would you tell us what you use it for?
Yes, sawdust is used to pick up the excess water. We also use it to dike around and keep water from going into places where we don't want it.
Well, thank you, Water Fireman Wilson, and thank you, Captain Welch, for telling us about the very important salvage equipment.
You're welcome.
Now we're entering the dormitory of the station house, and, of course, this is where the men sleep. Captain Welch, we're all familiar with the rapidity with which firemen must get up and out of their beds in the middle of the night because fires are no respecter of men's comfort. Isn't that correct?
You're right, Bob.
And in a certain specified time, they're out and on their way to the fire.
That's true.
How much time is involved, would you say?
Ordinarily, the apparatus hits the street in about 40 seconds, Bob.
40 seconds time. Isn't that amazing? Could we see a demonstration of this action?
Yes, we can give you a demonstration.
test run took exactly 41 seconds, Captain Welch, and I want to take this opportunity to thank you for giving us this insight into the quarters, the apparatus, and the equipment of a typical American fire station.
It was a pleasure, Bob, to have you. Come back again.
Thank you very much. And so, this has been the story of your fire department. As you've seen, it's the intensive preparation and training of highly qualified men that enable your fire department to work at the peak of efficiency and speed to protect you and your property from fire or disaster. Nonfiction has brought you the actual behind-the-scenes story of the fire department, certainly one of America's most interesting places, from one of the nation's largest and finest, the Los Angeles Fire Department.